Welcome to Flavours of Africa.
Merry Christmas! I'm Doris Ufoegbune.
Happy holidays. I'm Kevin Ufoegbune. Now, for the past while on Flavours of Africa, we've taken you across the exotic continent of Africa.
Western continent.
We've been to the western parts of Africa mainly. We visited Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana,
Gambia, the home of opera's ancestors.
In Liberia, that's right.
Yeah, oh, in Liberia, yes.
Now we're going to take you all the way to South Africa for a little twist, I guess.
This is exciting. South Africa.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, when you think of South Africa, of course, you think of Nelson Mandela and the ANC, and of course, you think about the fact that it's racially mixed, just like Sierra Leone.
Yes, it is.
So it's about 79.5% blacks. I believe Caucasians make up about 10%, and then there are minorities with the trace their ancestry from Asia, of course. So it's very mixed, and with mixing, of course, comes a lot of culture, and it's very interesting. The capital is actually Pretoria.
Yes.
And then we know that they're also known for their
wine. I mean, you cannot talk about South Africa without talking about the wine, because I mean, wine is produced. Lots of wine is produced in South Africa. In our previous episode, we talked extensively about different wine. You know, continue with South Africa, because when you're talking about Africa, South Africa, it's not, you know, like so many things, so many beautiful things.
Well, the wine is one thing that comes to mind, and the wine is great because it complements many of your African dishes.
It sure does. And since we're making African delicious dessert called Chin Chin biscuits, we felt that it would be also nice, interesting to continue talking about South African wine, because South African wine, in South Africa, you can find wines that go very well with, you know, dessert. So next episode, what we're going to do, we're going to invite South African wine distributors to come in and plug it in, you know, talk about it.
Bad idea.
Exactly.
So with the Chin Chin, I mean, it's nice that you have your glass of wine, you have a nice dessert, and it makes for the holidays. It makes it very lively.
Exactly.
So Chin Chin is eating in Nigeria.
It's extensively eaten, not just in Nigeria. It's eaten in West Africa, you know, in Ghana. So and they call
even the Cameroon.
Exactly, because we are sister countries. Yes. So it's we're gonna show our audience how to make chin chin, because you know what's interesting. Majority of my friends that have visited Nigeria, they have been asking me about this recipe. How do you make chin chin? How do you make chin chin? You know, I made it on numerous occasions in Ottawa and here. I mean,
over the years.
Exactly.
And for me, chin chin as a Nigerian Canadian, it marks the start of a holiday, it marks a wedding. It's kind of not such a formal dessert, but it does mark a very special occasion. That's why, you know, it's always a happy time making chin chin as a child, and that's what kind of comes to mind with me. Last episode, we did make the pepper soup.
Pepper soup.
Yes, and it was kind of nostalgic for you when we talked about, you know, the goat and the symbolism during Christmas, because it brings back memories for you, and it conjures those memories. For me, it's the chin chin.
Exactly.
So today I'm going to learn how to make it, and you're going to learn how to make it as well.
It's so easy. And I think over the years, when you guys were growing up, that was something that brought us together, including your dad. All of us would sit at the table, you know, playing music, making chin chin, and that's why you guys love it. And the interesting thing about chin chin, once you make it at home, you will find out what I'm talking about. Once you eat one, you know, you keep on going.
It's that type of snack.
Exactly. In recent episodes in Ottawa, I mean, if you go into our YouTube channel, you will see where one of the TV hosts was eating it, because you know what, it's so good. And again, it's something that brings people together, food, right?
Even the, like when I think about it, even the act of making it, because it's sort of like, you know, when you make cookies as a child and you have your cookie cutter.
Yes.
Well, with this, we'll show you how it's prepared. But it's kind of a thing that emphasizes unity. So
awesome. So we have 1 cup of flour here. And I'm going just to show you how it's made, because in Nigeria we don't measure. Remember, we were talking about measurement. We don't measure, we just gauge it. So if you have to serve 100 people, you know what? Then you will get a bag of flour and kind of gauge it, and then of course you need people to help you. So it's easy. It's very easy, but you need to prep ahead of time. That's one thing we change, and that's one thing with everything we've been doing. You just prep ahead, so it's not too much work for you to do. So I have sugar. Notice I'm going to use sugar
for the first time.
For the first time.
It's a dessert. It's a treat, so it's kind of understandable.
Exactly, because sure, in African cooking we don't use sugar. Because everything we cook in Africa is organic, and going with the same thing for the most part.
Growing up, it was organic.
Exactly. So what happens is that when we make a dessert, of course, that's the only time we use sugar. So that's what we're going to do.
So now you put 1 cup of flour.
It's not quite even a cup of flour, just a little bit to show our audience how to make a chin-chin. And
how many spoons of sugar did you add?
I think I must have added like 3, but you don't count. You just add whatever that pleases you, no wahala. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this. All right, and then the other ingredient I have is the baking powder, just a tiny bit, because we want it to be not crunchy. We want it to be fluffy. So when you eat it, it's not too strong, So we don't want anyone saying, oh, it's too strong. That's not. This is tough biscuit, but it's not. So that's why you add a little bit of baking powder to soften it up a bit.
Now, and this is if we could use whole wheat.
Yes, you can
use whole wheat at home.
Oh, yes, you can. Yeah, that's a good point you're bringing up. You don't have to use white flour if you don't like white flour. If you like whole wheat, please go ahead. By all means, use it. No wahala.
Perfect.
All right. So I've added the flour. Like I said, no measurement, just gauge it. A little bit of margarine. I'm using margarine. You can use butter. It calls for butter. Back home, we use butter. But you know what? I noticed that butter has a little bit of salt, unless if it's butter without salt, because we don't want to put too much salt in the pastry. All right. So I'm gonna kind of mix it. So I'm gonna show you how to. So do the egg. Yeah, you've cracked egg.
Crack an egg.
Yeah, you crack it and put it in there.
All right,
yeah,
so
you can actually do it here so that. Alrighty, that's all. So we're gonna use just 1 egg.
Just put that aside.
Alrighty, so we're gonna mix it up. This is one thing that I really enjoyed making in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, it was a different story, because whenever it was a Christmas celebration, we always got together. Everybody, like all my friends in the community and family will get together and then make the chin-chin. So it was fun. We'll be telling stories. So to this, I'm going to add a little bit of evaporated milk. We call it pig milk in Nigeria. So that's what it is. Just a tiny bit. And to this, I'm going to add a tiny bit of water just to bind it. And it's usually cold water, not warm water. If you add warm water to it, it becomes sticky and you won't be able to work with the dough. It's just like making a pastry dough. It's the same technique. And the other thing I wanted to add is that you can add any kind of flavor you like. You can even add vanilla, but in Nigeria or in West Africa, we usually make it authentic. We don't add anything. Some people add nutmeg. Oops, excuse me, here. You can add nutmeg.
Nutmeg reminds you of the Christmas. Don't we use nutmeg for egg?
Eggnog, yes. So if you want to make it very festive, you can add a little bit of nutmeg. But for me, I usually like to leave it the way it was handed down to me, because it's, you know, it's so nostalgic to me when I make it. Yeah, exactly. So you will see how it's beginning to bind together.
It's an interesting type of mix. There's something unique about it. It's not like so doughy, but it's
exactly.
You can play around with it.
Yeah, you can play around with it, and then until it becomes very soft. So I'm going to show you now the finished product, which you were working on for some time. So I'm just going to put the this away to get some
this
space.
Is what it looks like when we need it.
Okay.
After we've needed it.
Yeah, so you can continue kneading it just a little bit, so that we can show our audience how it's made.
I'm just going to move that to
the side. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so you kind of made it.
I feel like such a professional.
You are already. So after so many lessons, now you can go and tell all your friends that, hey, cooking is fun. If a woman can do it, so can a man. All right, I think that's good enough. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Perfect.
So I'm going to show you the fun part of making chin-chin. So we're gonna just cut it. Normally, we call it in strips, and I tell you why we do that. So, like this.
Do I have to dust the pan with flour before I put this on?
Yes, you do, because you don't want it to be sticky. Okay. So that's a good point. Yeah, you dust it and knead it, just like you knead any other dough. So you cut it. So this is how we do it, and then you can do some, because you're master to this.
I remember growing up, my sisters used to make bracelets.
Exactly. So this is how you make it, and then when we fry it, you will see what I'm saying exactly.
I'm going to try giving it a. Should I try cutting from here?
Okay, sure, you can do that. I guess we would have brought tonight, but it's all right.
All right. Let me just make sure that I'm on the right side.
Okay. So what are you trying to make?
I'm just going to start with cutting a strip.
Okay, let's see. Or maybe you have some hidden talents, I don't know.
All right. Okay, I think you're going to have to show how to make that,
yes,
again.
Yeah, okay.
So you cut, let's see.
Okay, let's see what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to make what you made there.
Okay, but have you forgotten? Okay, here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you cut it like this, just like this, and then you poke a little hole in the center, just like this. See? Okay. And then you take the top, and then you loop it. You just put it through.
Oh,
and then you push it. Yeah, because you're used to this. This is what you're used to, right?
Well, cutting
that's the traditional one. Yeah. Basic. So why you are doing the basic squares, because that's what you're used to, but I always do this, you know. You can do this. So you do what you're used to.
I kind of found as a child, too, when I cut, like, bigger pieces.
It doesn't fry.
Yeah.
It becomes so fat. So we don't want that. We want it to be just
I guess it's
the right side. Presentation is everything. And you know, sometimes I do on both sides. So now we're doing the chin-chin. We talked about South Africa. And we can't go to South Africa without talking about Mandela, right?
It's true. I mean, that is definitely the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of, you know, I mean, that's a huge part of African history.
Yes.
Such a notable leader that has been an exemplary example for the rest
for many of us, for the whole world, yes.
Exactly.
And what impresses me most about Mandela is that, you know, he went through a lot, you know, him going to jail and coming out of jail, you know. I mean, that's, some people would have given up. That's what I'm saying. Some people would have given up. And if anyone had told him when he was in jail that one day he would come out and become the president of South Africa,
exactly.
he would have said no. And
after 27 years,
yes,
think about it,
and I think when I talk about Mandela, I think that what sets him apart is his tenacity,
yes.
And his positive attitude towards life. Because you have to have that drive. You have to have positive attitude in life. It doesn't matter what you go through in life. If you believe that tomorrow will be better, it sure will. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've learned, listening to him.
Do you know how old he is today?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how old he is today?
No, actually.
93.
93? Yeah. Where they go, Mr. Mandela.
So now talking about Christmas in Africa, I mean, what are your fondest memories?
A lot. When I talk about, Africa, when I talk about Christmas in Africa, I talk about goodies.
Yes.
Because, sure, I say we didn't have so much, like in terms of goodies growing up, like sugar, but I was introduced to chocolate. You won't believe. Okay. You won't believe it. Yes, I fell in love with, with chocolate when I was in Nigeria because my dad worked for Pilgrim Baptist Mission in our town, Iseluku, in Delta State, Nigeria. Okay. And there were so many missionaries coming from America. They have African-American missionaries. They have Caucasian missionaries, that's white missionaries, coming to teach in my town. And as a very young child, at the end of the year, school year, not at the end of the school year, before Christmas, they will, invite me, and I think I was about 5, 6 years then. They would, invite me to the mission because they had to do some filming. Okay. At that time, they used
like documentaries.
Exactly, and then they would ask me to lift up a few things, but I couldn't because I was so tiny.
These like African artifacts that you
exactly, like big basins and stuff like that. So they will incorporate it into a movie, and I would do that. So at the end of the shooting, it's just like shooting a movie. Yeah. So at the end, they would give me some tiny chocolate, and I would take it home, and that's how I fell in love with chocolate. Yeah. Like every Christmas. So it usually fell into Christmas season. And during Christmas, I would be, sharing the chocolate, in tiny containers. We'll be sharing it with my siblings and my friends. Exactly. And it was so memorable. So when I see chocolate during Christmas, it reminds me about growing up in Nigeria and being handed chocolate.
That's a special experience, meeting
exactly.
such a
so that's
people.
Really.
Now, I'm also thinking, because I said in the previous episode that I wouldn't be used to Christmas in a tropical place like Nigeria, growing up in Canada. So what was your Christmas experiences like in Canada?
In Canada?
When you first immigrated here, was it like, how was it?
It was different. It was different in the sense that we, apart from attending parties with some of our friends, it was a quiet Christmas. It was really quiet because in Africa, Christmas wasn't really quiet. Everybody got together, when I was growing up. But here, it's a family affair. If you have a few close friends, well, you can invite them. But it's not the kind of event where, you go out like in Nigeria and then visit people. You have to be invited before you could visit your friends here in Canada. So that was so different for me because it was my husband and I, we didn't have any family members or friends to share Christmas
being
with.
New to Canada. Yeah. So how did you deal with the snow?
Well, when you're in Rome, you behave like the Romans.
That's right.
My husband, your dad, told me that I had to dress up, warmly. And that was what I did.
So do you remember your first experiences of like touching snow and like seeing Santa Claus and even as a young adult it would still be so magical and new.
Exactly.
Right?
So what we did, it was just the two of us. We bought a small Christmas tree, and we decorated it together and played some Christmas music like Jim Reeves because I love those Christmas. I used to play them in Nigeria, and then we have the some people say poinsettia or poinsettia, yeah. So we had it. So that's why it's so memorable for me. Whenever there's Christmas, I must have it, and I must have the Santa Claus, So it's but I must tell you that I've fallen in love with Canadian Christmas, as well. Because you know what, you need to adapt. I've lived here for the longest time. All my children were born in Canada, so I have to get used to it. So I look forward to it.
I see it as having the best of both worlds.
Yes.
It's like we cook the pepper soup. I can enjoy pepper soup.
Yes.
I can enjoy goat meat.
Yes.
I can enjoy turkey.
Yes.
I can enjoy chin-chin. I can enjoy Christmas cookies.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's one wonderful thing about Canada.
And then if we can move back to South Africa a bit, you know, the way they speak, the way they welcome people, you know, if you go to South Africa, you know how they're going to greet you? They're going to say, if they want to say, welcome to South Africa, they will say, Wam Kele Kele. And I love it. It's so musical, you know, Wam Kele Kele. I met a South African lady. I was shopping, and she was talking to me. She said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Nigeria. Where are you from? She said, oh, I'm from South Africa. And I'm like, oh, Wam, if I go to South Africa, they will say, Wam Kele Kele. Oh, she was so happy. She said, oh, Wam Kele Kele, you speak South African language. And speaking of language, you know, they have so many languages in South Africa.
They do. I think they have about close to a dozen written into their constitution.
Yes.
South African English is the official language, as well as Afrikaans. Now, Afrikaans is spoken by the white South Africans, as well as a few people that trace their ancestry to Asia.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, I mean, they have Zulu, they have so many different languages, Xhosa. It's really interesting.
I guess that's why they have different dishes.
They do have different dishes.
I think South Africa is the next place that I would like to visit.
Oh, definitely.
Because I heard about the curry dish, and then tracing the Indian root.
That's true.
They make a curry dish. A friend was telling me about this. I said, wow, I'm going to go there. They have curry dish. They have different things. When I think of South
Africa, too, I also think about the musical.
Yes.
The musicals and the beautiful music and the beautiful voices.
Yes.
That come out of their country. It's so unique and so rare. I remember certain films.
Oh, did we talk about Ladysmith Mambozo? I love their music. And you can't talk about South Africa again without talking about Miriam Makeba.
I mean, she's late now.
Oh, yeah.
But she had a wonderful
Exactly. Voice. Wonderful. You still play her music, you know, Malaika. I really love it. Every time I play it, it's like I'm in, you know, South Africa. So I'm going to see what the oil is doing, because we're going to fry it to show our audience. And again, I have some oil here, you know, it's really, you know, about 2 cups of oil, because you are frying the chin-chin. And one thing you have to do when you are trying to fry it, please don't overheat the oil, because once you overheat the oil, it's going to be, it will burn down, so you don't want that.
So now what do you put the oil in?
How do you mean?
What temperature do we put it on?
Like, you just heat it up. No, first
first we just heat it up, that it's heated.
Yeah, you need to like heat it up first, and then you lower it to medium.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing right now. You can see. So you just kind of try one, because you don't want to put like so many, and then you start frying it, and it all, turns to.
So do we like? I guess a good way to tell when it's cooked is when it's browning.
Yes.
When it's brown.
Exactly, because if you look at it, it's like browning, so that's...
But it's not completely brown, so
no,
leave it in there.
Exactly. And what happens is you just don't over brown it, because then it turns dark. We don't want that.
Or
we want it to
crispy.
Be free or crispy.
You don't want it, you sort of want it in between.
Exactly. Medium. So now the temperature is good, so we can go ahead and add more. So you want to do the honor of all.
I'd like to add some that I've cut
So you can
here.
use your hand, no wahala.
Perfect.
Why I put a few.
So how many can I put at a time?
Just a lot, just a lot. Yeah, it doesn't matter really. Awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, be careful, and then
can I mix it, or do I just let it sit?
Because he takes care of himself. So that's what I'm saying. 2 dishes that we made today is just so. This one, the chin-chin, is really, really nice. In the last episode, it was awesome.
The pepper soup.
Exactly, it was awesome.
So both are easy and delicious, and nice treats that you can have with your friends and family during this nice holiday season.
Exactly.
And of course, your wine would complement them, so that's nice.
So I'm just going to lower it a bit. So you can see it frying. This is one dish that we make that we use lots of oil. Remember in previous episodes, we didn't use oil. But whenever you're frying a pastry, of course you need oil.
But we're using vegetable oil.
Yeah, we are using vegetable oil. Yeah, that's basically what you need to use.
We have leeway. It's Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas is for treats. And,
exactly.
And for the kids, your kids would enjoy this at home.
Exactly. It's really, it's nice. So notice what I'm doing here. I'm not letting it
brown too much.
Yeah, so I keep mixing it because, you know, when you mix it, it fries evenly. So that's the best way to do it. So we're gonna keep doing. Maybe you should do this part while I chill. Yeah.
Are we gonna do anything with the rest of that, or we're just gonna...
So let me just lower it a little bit. Okay, so it's going. So while you are doing that, I can continue doing this. Maybe I do some other styles. I don't know.
Show us what you got.
Yeah, well, you know. Oh, I show you another trick when I was growing up that we used to do. You know, we just cut it like so. I'm gonna see if I still remember how. So we just cut it into 3, and then we start like weaving it.
Almost like you're braiding hair.
Exactly. Keep weaving it. Okay. So, and then when you're done, it comes out like this.
Almost like a ribbon.
Exactly. So, and then you cut it. You know, so you can do a lot of things with it. You know, it's like making gingerbread. I'm going to throw it in here.
Okay, so
maybe we cook so we can show our audience. Okay, so we're going to keep cooking it. And then I have paper here. Okay, see what I was saying?
Okay.
This one is overly cooked because it's so brown, but it's still good. Like yeah, but you want it to be golden color. That's what I like. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Another easy treat.
Yeah, another easy treat. So while this is cooking, we're going to show our audience the finished product.
Perfect.
Voila.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is what it looks like. Oops.
And it has that golden touch that you're
exactly. So this is what it looks like. This is one thing that you've been doing all the testing. So we're gonna
move this over here.
Yeah, here. See, when you turn, so this is one thing that when you are making a chin-chin is one dish. When you are making it, you can't turn your eyes away because the moment you turn, it's burnt.
But it looks lovely.
But it's still good, you know. Wow. So we just take it and then we drain it a little bit in the paper. So here is, or you want to try yours here?
I'm going to go for one of these.
Okay, so Merry Christmas, to all our viewers, and thank you so much for watching Flavors of Africa. It's been
great,
yes.
And I hope that you do try the chin-chin at home.
Yes.
And that you enjoy a little bit of an African touch during your holidays.
Exactly, and we thank all the people that have been sending us positive feedback.
Exactly, keep it coming.
Yes.
Flavors of Africa at shaw.ca. If you have any requests, questions, or comments, feel free to help.
Yes.
Feel free to...
Yeah, to contact us.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.